Hello again, everyone. It's July 19th, 2025. Today's plan, after we do a walkthrough of my garden, is to head down to Yosts, New York, 45 miles east of Utica in the Mohawk Valley, to catch the eastbound Lakeshore Limited heading by. Garden here contains tomatoes, butternut squash, acorn squash, and some peppers. So join me, won't you, for a ride through New York State's historic Mohawk Valley. I'm on New York State Route 5S in the town of Little Falls, New York, approximately 23 miles east of Utica. The Lakeshore Limited runs from Chicago to New York, 959 miles. Utica is at the 722-mile mark. There's also a section that runs from Boston to Albany Rensselaer. However, a little while ago, a big sinkhole developed in the town of East Greenbush, New York, about 6 miles outside of Albany. First, Amtrak thought it would be a simple matter to fix it, but that's not the case. The line is out of service now, and it is expected to be out of service for the next several months, perhaps even through January. So Amtrak passengers are currently being bused between Boston and Albany Rensselaer, which is not a good situation for anybody, but at least it preserves some service to Boston on the lakeshore. And we're in the heart of the Mohawk Valley right now. Pretty impressive hill here. The Mohawk Valley is prime farm country, dairy country, has been for centuries. Going back to the earliest settlements here in the 1730s or so. The Mohawk Valley is the ancestral home of the Mohawk Indians. We'll come upon very soon a church that was built in pre-Revolutionary War times. Take a quick look at that before heading on to Big Nose Curve. Historic Indian Castle Church, erected by Sir William Johnson in 1769. Extremely important figure in Mohawk Valley history. The Indian Castle Church was built in 1769 by Sir William Johnson, British Superintendent of Indian Affairs, and was meant as an Indian mission church for the Mohawk tribe. The Mohawks were the easternmost tribe of the 5 nations of the Iroquois. In the back of the church is a cemetery which contains the remains of both European settlers and Mohawk Indians. Amazing to think that this structure, this simple structure, has survived all these years, including during the very turbulent years of the revolution here in the Mohawk Valley, when so many structures were burned, lots of death and mayhem occurring here in the valley during the Revolutionary War period. And the cemetery that I just mentioned is up beyond the cornfield, right up there. Okay, time to head out of Indian Castle Church. We've got a train to catch in Big Nose Curve in Yosts, New York. Right now it's 12:24. The lakeshore is due into Utica at 12:37. It'll stay in Utica for 5 minutes per the timetable. Some would say that 5 minutes in Utica is 5 minutes too long. I don't share that view, but it's time to move along regardless. I'm now in Montgomery County, just having exited Herkimer County. Approximately 31 miles east of Utica. This is a very pretty route as we're riding on the southern ridge of the Mohawk Valley. This is Fort Plain, 39 miles east of Utica. We'll be crossing under the New York State Thruway, Interstate 90, and then we'll go over the Mohawk River, Erie Canal, before intersecting with New York State Route 5, where we'll turn right and head down to Big Nose Curve, crossing the Mohawk River Barge Canal, Erie Canal right now. crossing this CSX main right then and there. This is Palatine Bridge. This area of the Mohawk Valley was settled in the 1730s by German immigrants who came here at the invitation of the British Crown to help settle this part of New York State. Originally, the Palatines settled in the Hudson River Valley, but there was some kind of chicanery by the British Crown governor of the county of New York, who started selling their land. So they came up here to the Mohawk Valley and settled here in this beautiful part of New York State. Big Nose curves, but a few miles ahead. Almost there. The Mohawk Indians have a reservation up in far northern New York, bordering Canada along the St. Lawrence River. Approximately 20 years ago or so, the nation bought a parcel of land down here. I remember reading about that in the New York Times. The sign reads, "Site of the early home of Major Gels Fonda, a prominent merchant of the Mohawk Valley and an Indian trader. Here was located an Indian village." Well, it's about 5 of 1, and I'm just a little bit beyond Big Nose Curve. And appropriately enough, the town of Mohawk. Just got to walk up about 700 feet or so. In 1918, the Erie Canal was rechanneled and put through the Mohawk River for quite some distance. That boat is traveling on the Mohawk River and the Erie Canal, which is also known as the Barge Canal. This area is called Big Nose Curve because this big hill behind me was called Big Nose by the Mohawk Indians, while the hill on the other side there was referred to as Little Nose. Back at the end of the last ice age, there was a land barrier, a ridge between Big Nose and Little Nose, and there was gigantic waterfalls here, much bigger than Niagara Falls. The water eventually worked its way, causing the barrier to fall, and this is what resulted the separation between Big Nose and Little Nose. I've read this is the first natural break in the Appalachian mountain chain up from Georgia. This is the first one, and it was important for early transportation in New York and for the nation, because this is the way the Erie Canal came, taking advantage of this natural break. On the other side of the river is New York State Thruway, Interstate 90. There was a railroad on the other side as well, the West Shore Railroad. The old Erie Canal was on the other side. And of course, on this side, the New York Central Railroad once had 4 tracks here. Now this is CSX the CSX main, and we've got New York State Route 5 here. So it's an important point in the transportation history of the state and the country. Of course, when the Erie Canal opened, it was a big boost to settlement and commerce in upstate New York, and really helped settle the western parts of the United States, meaning Ohio and Michigan, gave access to the Great Lakes and beyond. So I'll move up here to this rock crop, get a bit of a suntan. I'll wait for the lakeshore to head by. That's not the lakeshore. A freight could be heading our way. And just like that, here comes an eastbound. 2 trains in the first 10 minutes or so of my arrival here at Big Nose Curve. Incidentally, referencing that New York State historical marker about Major Fonda, the American actor Henry Fonda, his ancestors were from New York's Mohawk Valley. So no doubt there is some relationship between the Major and the actor. Also, and I think I forgot to mention this, on the other side of the Mohawk is Route 5S, New York State Route 5S. And right on time, here comes the lakeshore. And once again, all is quiet along New York's Mohawk River. 8 miles farther east from Big Nose Curve finds me in the village of Fonda in Montgomery County. We're looking at the very old courthouse built in 1836 for Montgomery County. Right behind me is the CSX main. And across the way is a maintenance of way substation for the railroad. Listen, Witold, I know you wanted to go, but we can do it some other time, huh? We'll do railroading when it's not so hot. Now let's go in and have a treat. Come on, buddy! Okay, Witold, looky here, yeah. Got a couple bones for you. All right, he's happy. We'll go again some other time, be told. So, with that, we'll end the video. A contented Witold, and once again, thanks for watching.